Physics 411 problem solving steps. This is a model for how to solve certain physics problems and word problems in general. And I'll roll through this fairly quickly, but if you have the sheet in front of you, you should pause the recording and read it. It's called a want, know, equation, solution, and check process. So first thing you say is, well, what do I want to find? All right, what's the physics name? What's the symbol? If it's velocity or speed, I'm looking for V. If it's distance, I'm looking for D. What are the units? And this is a big one here, the units. The units can actually really what I call set you free. They'll give you a lot of information about the problem. I have meters, I have seconds. You know what? I'm probably looking for meters per second velocity. If you don't understand the problem, there's a lot of cues. What do I know? So identify the information, list the units, the quantities, the physics name or symbol, and make sure they match up, they cancel, they all work together. The equation, what physics equation will help me get what I find? Well, I've got velocity and distance, and I want to find time. Well, it's v equals d over t, and so on and so on. So go through all this, make sure you do all this fun stuff. Is variable for what I want on one side by itself, then I have to rearrange the equation. That is far and away the most challenging thing for freshman physics students. So see how I do that, make sure you understand it. Please check your answer. There's no reason not to. I've not seen almost any student run out of time on an exam. And it's very frustrating where if you just put that back in, you'd know, oh, this doesn't work. Oh, look, I had them flipped or something like that. So the best way to do it is just to go through examples. Armand, Argentina travels 1 hour and 15 minutes at 30 meters per second. How far did he travel in meters? I love these names. So what do we want? We want distance. Which is d. We want it in meters. That's in the question, so you really have to read the question. Up in the corner of my room, I have these letters. Read the full question. And I've learned to start just writing them on exams when I see people clearly didn't read the whole question. What do I know? He traveled for 1 hour and 15 minutes. And since 1 hour, I'll throw this over here, equals 60 minutes, I know that's also 60 plus 15. So I'll just write that down now. I also know that he had a speed, what is also called velocity, of 30 meters per second. I'm going to start abbreviating as much as possible, whenever possible. And I want to know how far I traveled. Equation is given. Won't always be, in this case it is. I need to rewrite these down. T equals 75 minutes. D, my bad, V equals 30 meters per second. And D is what I want to know. So you might be tempted to say, well, let's just go. V equals D over T, but we have a problem. We have to do a conversion. We need our time units to match up. We have seconds and we have minutes. They do not match up. So there's my 75 minutes. I want it in seconds. I happen to know that 1 minute has 60 seconds. Minutes canceled, left with seconds. That's 4,500 seconds. Now I look at this and I want D alone. So, simple enough. Let's get rid of the T. Just like solving an equation. It's a seesaw. Whatever I do on one side of the seesaw, I have to do on the other. Can't just multiply things randomly. I pick T because the T's will cancel, and I'm left with D equals V times T. And I've done all that mess. I can finally do some math here. 130 meters per second times 4,500 seconds. Seconds cancel. I'm left with 135,000 meters. Does that make sense? Distance in meters. It's a lot. Seems a little high to me. So I better check. Make sure I'm happy with it. Velocity equals 135,123 meters divided by 4,500 seconds. And you can check this a few different ways. This is the way I've decided to check it. I get 30 meters per second. Put a little check mark. Looks good to me. Strongly recommend rewinding that and going through it again if it was not clear. Even if it was mostly clear, I recommend rewinding it and checking it again. At this point, you should consider trying some of these yourself. I'm not going to talk through this one. I'm going to do it fairly quickly. And make sure you read what the question wants. So if you want to pause recording, now's the time. I want V kilometers per hour. Even though it says speed, we know that is V for velocity. One of those annoying physics things that us teachers do. We know D equals 220 kilometers. We know T equals 1 hour and 45 minutes. I need to convert 45 minutes. So this time I'm going to do it up here. "60 minutes, 1 hour." Why I put the minutes on the bottom so they cancel. I get 0.75. So my time is now 1 hour plus 0.75 hours equals 1.75 hours. I apologize for writing this one as a capital letter. There's my equation, d over t. And I want the velocity. I've got 220 kilometers. And 1.75 hours. That's kilometers per hour, so it looks like I did it right. And I get a big, huge, ugly number. I'm going to round to the ones. And there it is. Now, let's go and check it. And we'll check the distance. So to check it, did I get what I was looking for? Yes, kilometers per hour. Units and appropriate rounding. Well, I decided to go to the nearest ones, even though the instructions didn't give it to us. Because I had 220 kilometers per hour. Technically, I would need a decimal there for 3 places, but it'll have to do. I could blast through this and check the distance if I wanted, but I'm not going to do that now. This one you should definitely do on your own. Nice, I got meters, seconds. I want time. And it doesn't say in what unit, just says how long, so I'll use seconds. Now we've got to convert this because we want time, so we have V equals D over T. So we've done this before where I multiply both sides by T. These cancel. I'm left with TV equals D. But I don't have T alone yet, so I'll divide by V. T equals distance over velocity. Now, this is magic to a lot of students. Really isn't. If we divide by something, we flip it. So for the units, we would have meters times seconds per meter, because we take this and flip it. Meters would cancel, we're left with seconds. Since you may or may not understand that, if you set up the equation correctly, you should be in good shape. I'm going to bring it down. And more to the point, it's 208 seconds, but I'm going to round to 210 seconds, so we only have two significant figures here and here. This is a good time to check. We know that velocity equals distance over time. We know that he went 1,500 meters. We know it took approximately 210 seconds. There's going to be a rounding error here. And when I divide that, I get 7.1 meters per second. Like I said, there's a rounding error. We should add 7.2, so that's fine. There's more. Again, I would recommend pausing this and try it on your own. I'm going to do it very quickly with minimal talking. We only have two significant figures here, so I rounded it to two significant figures there. Don't get hung up on that. If this was your answer, that's okay too. This one should definitely be checked. Velocity should equal 11 meters per second. Velocity is distance, 21,000 meters over 1,920 seconds equals 10.9, and that's a rounding error, so no problem. These are tricky. A lot of people struggle with them. A lot of people struggle with different aspects of them. Good luck.